Okay, so hi. First of all, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you all. Uh, I'm a recent of the mornings. I'm already on this. Um, and so when Rafaela challenged me to tell my story and how the ripple effects affected me, um, it had to be about this shift that I'm doing in my life because I'm shifting to become more of a writer and less of everything else. Um, so let me see how this goes. Where the Okay, so once upon a time there was this little girl. That's me. Like back in the 80s, early 80s. I was born in 1979, and I don't have any siblings, but I do have working parents. So I spent a lot of time alone at home after school because school used to be from 8 a.m. till 1 p.m. and the afternoons were free time. There were only two TV channels, which was clearly not enough, and there was no other options besides books. So that's what I did. I became in love with reading. These two books were two of my first passions, comics and the Uma Aventura collection, which all it's my beginning in crime life, so to speak. Um, and I was in love with reading. It was all I could do. I remember being sick once and not going to school and asking my mom to buy me a book so that I could read because I stayed home alone at like 8 years old. I spent the whole day alone. And my mom came home for lunchtime for in her lunch break, and I had already read the book she gave me in the morning and asked for another one in the afternoon. So my mom hated when I was sick because she spent more on books than on medicine. So it's not good. But then I became passionate about writing as well. Uh, I started to see stories as a way of communicating with people and showing who I really was and telling my truth through other people's stories. So this is how it all began. I was 10 when I wrote my first short story, and for some reason I showed it to a couple of colleagues at school, and they loved it, and they pushed me to keep writing. And so every week I would share a new chapter. It was like a hideous fanfic of a television novella, which was terrible, but it got me into writing. And so I began writing stuff, and these are two of my very first short stories. Um, Hideous as well, but I just found this like a couple of weeks ago in my parents' basement, and I had to bring it with me. So this writing love, this love for writing was already growing inside of me, and I kept writing. I just kept writing, just because it was fun. I used to love every Portuguese class that I had to write something for. At some point, I started to write some short stories that got published in newspaper. This doesn't exist anymore, but it was a great thing. Diário de Notícias had this supplement where young people from like, I don't know, 14 until 27 or 28 would submit art, and it would be pictures, paintings, drawings, poetry, short stories, whatever. A couple of our most renowned writers wrote for that supplement, such as José Luís Peixoto, Ricardo Araújo Pereira, Pedro Mexia, José Tolentino Mendonça, the priest, the guy who's in Vaticano, used to publish there. So it launched a lot of people, and it helped a lot of people write. And I also wrote a lot of stuff that I didn't show anyone until today. not actually. This is a screenshot from a blog that I used to have. And after these first short stories, really childish, I began writing poetry. Terrible, 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 terrible. I look at it today and I hate it, but it's what built me until today. But life got in the way, and I felt like I needed a plan B. I'm a Virgo. My second sign is a Virgo, so I need structure and safety, and I always knew that being a writer wasn't possible or easy in Portugal, being a full-time writer. And I knew I had to build my own life. So I went to college, and I have a master's degree in advertising and marketing. And that's what I did since I finished my college years back in 2001. I began working in the marketing area in communication agencies. I've been a copywriter, an accountant, an account manager, I don't know, a proofreader. I've done so many things there until I got really fed up with clients that sit by your side and tell you how to do your job. But they're paying you to do something, but they're by your side telling you how to do it. And I just like, no, that's not for me anymore. So let's move on. And I became a little bit distant from that life, and I spent 4 years working at home. And I did a lot of things during this time. Back in 2003, I began my blog, my first blog, and I've maintained blogs until today. So it's been like almost 18 years of blogging. And I think this was the first drop on my sea, because it helped me build the community that I've been building for these many years. I have a lot of people that follow me since 2003, and they still read what I write today. So it was like a long-term process to bring me to where I am today. And I've written a lot of stuff during this time, but my main focus was always short stories, because I'm a practical woman, and if I think that I can tell you a story in 3 pages, I believe that I don't need 200 pages to tell you that story. This was my belief back then. And then back in October 17, 2012, a friend of mine posted this picture that you're seeing here. It's outside of a cemetery. And it's really dramatic. And I looked at that picture and I wrote a really short story. It was like 3 paragraphs long. And I just wrote it out of the blue. But that brought me back to a childhood memory, which was the first funeral that I attended. And everything in my head started to make sense, and I felt like I have a story to tell. I have a story. I need to incorporate this memory of the funeral somehow, and that's when my book was born back in 2012. It took me 4.5 years to write it. It wasn't from day to night that the writing took place, because imposter syndrome and self-sabotaging and self-doubt. And I felt like I didn't know how to write a book. I knew how to write short stories, and I was good at that, but I didn't know how to write a book. I didn't know if there was a theory behind the writing process, if there was a right way of doing it. And I felt really insecure. I felt like I needed to have a bit of a technical knowledge that I didn't have thus far. And so I went back to school. I went to this writing school called Escrever. It's in Lisbon. They have a lot of courses available, every type of writing, revision, everything. If you're interested in writing and want to develop your writing, check them out, because they're really interesting. So I went for the João Tordo courses. João Tordo is my favorite living author. The dead one is Saramago. Tord is still alive, and I took his courses. Yeah, because I felt like his courses are called novel writing. It's specific about writing a novel, and I felt that was exactly what I needed. When I finished the course, I knew I didn't need that at all. Meaning, I learned a lot. I learned to read as a writer, meaning I'm reading a book and I'm trying to see behind what's being written, the way it's being built, the way the tension grows, the way the author brings us through the book, and it helped a lot. But it didn't taught me a practical thing, like to write a book you have to do first you do this, then you do that, then you do whatever, because this doesn't exist. Actually, the way to write a novel is whatever suits every any writer. But this was a great thing, and he's my mentor. He's the I look up to him in every way. I believe he's a great writer. uh, and I went through. He read bits and pieces of my book back then, and he kept telling me to go home and write and just develop the story because he believed in that. And so 4 years later, 4.5 years later, the book was finished. This that you're seeing is the first version of my ending. It's not the actual version of the ending. There's a little bit of a change there in terms of sentencing. But it took me 4.5 years. And during this time, the fact that I met João at such a peer-to-peer level, the fact that I met other writers also helped build the trust that I needed. That I step by step I was learning that maybe I had something to share with the world. Maybe I had this little thing going on inside of me. So after the book was finished, a new phase began. It took me another 4 years of reviewing and rewriting. And this is something that I learned along the way, and that I always tell people who also want to write and approach me. What I say is, rule number one is write, but don't read what you wrote. Just write. Revisions come in the end. Don't keep reviewing what you just did, because that will keep you back and won't push you further. It will stop you from going further in the process. So this last phase is the waiting phase, which for me meant waiting twice. First of all, I submitted my manuscript to a literary competition, and during the time it was there, I wasn't allowed to publish it anywhere, so I didn't went looking for a publisher or anything. I just stayed put and waited for the results, which came out as Move On, and I didn't win anything or got shortlisted or anything. And then that made me approach the publishers. I was really thorough on the process of choosing a publisher. I didn't spam every publisher in Portugal. I studied the market. I tried to understand who was publishing new authors, who was publishing new authors that write what the same genre that I wrote. And I came up to a list of, like, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 publishers, which I approached. Some of them are yet to answer me, so I'm still waiting for answers from their end, because it's, I don't know, somehow this is acceptable. Because they have like a huge pile of manuscripts to read, and it's humanly impossible to read them all. So that's what I did. But then at some point back in late 2019, I think, I got my yes from a publisher. I was at my office at my full-time job that I keep until today, and will keep for a long time, I hope. And I just screamed out of my lungs, because my dream was becoming true. Was coming true. I was getting published. Everything I signed the contract. We began working on the book details. They did a review of the book, and everything went great. The book was supposed to be out in May 2020, but then we had a pandemic, and my publisher canceled my contract. It was one of the saddest days in my life, but it was also the most important day of my life in this matter. In the writing area, it was, I didn't see it like that back then. I cried a lot. I was super, it brought me to the ground. I lost all hope, all hope. I thought, well, this is never going to happen. I'm done. It's I'm gonna put this in the depths of a drawer somewhere, and I'm not gonna take care of it anymore, and I'm not gonna do it. But as I said, that day was also the best day of my life, because losing that contract was what brought me to my publisher. They came after me. I didn't contact them. They contacted me, because the assistant publisher followed me on Instagram, and she read what I wrote, and she liked what I write. And so she asked her manager, her chief, if they could ask for my manuscript to read, and maybe it would make sense. So I was like, yeah, sure, have it. And I was ready to wait for another year and a half to 2 years or whatever. But 15 days later, I had a call from them telling me that they wanted my book, and I was getting published again. And so I was like, what the hell just happened here? Because it's like this, it's like the dominoes. Do you know Collateral Beauty, the movie with Will Smith? When he drops all the dominoes in a huge pile, it's what I feel that happened to me. The fact that I lost my contract brought me here, and I'm 100% sure that if I hadn't lose my contract, my book would not be what it is today. It would be a million times worse, because my publisher really helped me with the book itself. They made tremendous suggestions and really valuable suggestions to change bits and pieces of the text. They have a great reviewer, text reviewer. She's absolutely the best. And I was so lucky to have them working with me. They did all this for me. It's a tough process, the editorial revision, which is when the editors help you change those bits and pieces to make the story more stronger and more I don't know, more interesting. Then the linguistic revision, which I had two of them. I have two reviewers working on my book, and it's not that my book was terrible, okay? It's just that they're really thorough and focused on what they're doing. And then the design that brought us to this cover that I love so much, which is this one. So 32 years after my dream started to form in my head, that dream came true. And the thing is, this dream, the fact that I published a book, it's only the beginning. It's only the beginning. Everything can change from now on, depending on how I work this, on how I sail this little sea that I'm in now. And that's what I've been doing. I've been, as Rafaela told you in the beginning, I've been signing books, because unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we can't have live events of like book signings in person, like in a book shop or something. My dream was to do a book launch in Ler Devagar, in LX Factory. That's not going to happen, I think. So what I did was I told people who wanted a book signed by me that I would do that, and that's what I've been doing. That's why I haven't been sleeping that much. I've been answering everybody that sends a message my way. I've been having great reviews. I never expected this, never in my life. I told my publisher that I was really afraid that I know the book is beautiful, the cover is beautiful, and some people would bring it home with them because of the cover. What I was really afraid was that when people read the book, they feel somehow defrauded, like, oh God, it's not that good. So much noise about something, and it's not that good. But that's not at all what's happening. What's happening is everybody's enjoying the book, and this makes me super, super, super happy. I couldn't be happier than I am now. So what can I say? All these small steps, the things that I've been doing, even the fact that I had to take a detour and went to with Plan B, it brought me people that brought me people that brought me here. And that's the magic of things. A lot of things happen after short changes in your life, or minor events in our life bring us to huge things that can change everything for us. And so this is my story. I hope if you are into writing, you feel inspired by it. What I want everyone to know is that it is possible, it is achievable, it can happen. Writers or new writers or aspiring writers, just I think they need to focus on doing the right thing. And the right thing is, don't ever take shortcuts. Don't ever go the easy way, because the easy way won't bring you anywhere. But it happens. It's not, our market is a small market. The literary market is small, but the doors are open. You just need to knock on the right doors. So this is it. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lenia, for sharing your experience and your story with us. I would just like to add something real quick. I met Lenia maybe less than a year ago, and we've been following each other on social media, but we started developing more intimacy over the past few months. And one of the things, okay, of course, you gave great advice, such as not taking shortcuts and everything like that. But one thing that I would like to say here is that in creativity, you got to be generous, right? So everyone here at Creative Mornings, we give our times for free, and because we do believe in generosity, and we believe in preparing this morning for you all, and everything is free of charge, and so people can actually get inspired. And one thing about Lenia is that she supports every single writer that comes her way, professional or non-professional. And I just launched my first newsletter 3-4 weeks ago, and Lenia, and she was like in the middle of like launching her book, so it would have been so easy for her to be focused on her own path and her own process, but she shared my things. She's been sharing a lot of what other people are doing and writing, and this is really inspiring for me, because I do believe that we're all we all do belong to a big chain of love and inspiration. And I would like to thank you for that, Lenia, because all the love that you've been getting, it's because you gave that love back. So you gave that love in the first place. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And the thing, I really believe in helping other people any way I can. And I always say this. The day my book went on pre-sale, this girl sent me a message saying that she was going to sleep with more hope that evening, because she also wants to be a writer. And I answered her, and I said, I'm here. If you ever need me, I'm here. If there's any way I can help you, count on me and talk to me. And I'm always, and this is something that I love doing. And I really believe that my path as a writer involves helping other writers. And this is something that I want to do. I want to help other people, not in the bad way, like like putting them in places and favoring them, not that, but by sharing my experience. If I can help someone get to where they want to be, then for me that's the thing. And I also want to say, yes, I shared your stuff and I always will, but I also launched a newsletter, and you helped me gazillions with the technical part of it, because I didn't know how to work with MailChimp, and I bugged you to the core, and asked for your help, and you were super helpful. So yes, what I give, I get, and the same goes with you. And you're the one of the best givers that I know. You're always I don't think you have this notion, but everything you write um, is a gift. It's something that you're giving,
Oh,
either through your newsletter, your blog post, whatever. You're giving yourself to the world, and by reading what you write, I've learned so much. And so,
thank you so much. But this is not about me, guys. Come on,
well,
go back to
now,
Lenia.
now it is. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Lenia. So, guys, let's open the Q&A before it's 10 a.m. We have 7 minutes, 8 minutes for questions. Come on, hit them. Hit me, hit her, do whatever, ask whatever you'd like.
We had one question for a recommendation for Joao Tordo. What would you recommend reading from him?
Oh yeah. I'm like, I have. It's like I know his work to the depth. So what I would say is he's my favorite writer. But as Rita was saying in the chat, his books are dense, and you need to be in the mood for the books. If you pretend to read something a bit lighter, not in the bad way, his last book is great. It's called Felicidade. If not, I can share the the bibliography, what he wrote, and the order you should read it, because some books are intertwined. They're not aside from his trilogy. Yeah. Other books are
send me that in the chat.
Yeah.
Rita, send me the list.
One. I think I'll. Let's see how I can. Is there a new book getting ready? There are 6 books getting ready.
From him?
No, from me. I'm answering Sylvia. No, he's writing 1 or 2 for sure. He's been publishing twice a year, so he's in the process for sure. No, but I'm answering Sylvia. She's asking if I'm if there's a new book getting ready. And the answer is yes. I have 6 manuscripts started. I don't know if all of them are book material, but hopefully at least 1 or 2 will become books in the future. So yes, it's today is Dia do Livro Português. I didn't know that. Well. Rafaela, you
Yes.
don't have. Yeah.
Do we have other questions? Maybe something I'd like to share. Ana Paula Cardoso?
Yes. Are you still writing in your blog?
Yes and
Can
no.
we check it?
Yeah, you can.
Can we check old stuff?
Yes.
Can you put the? It's one of my questions, and was me asking about the books about João Tordo. I was almost buying Felicidade, and then I checked the reviews on Wook and telling that was very sad. And then
his books are.
And then
he writes about disturbed people. Their characters are always alcoholic and abandoned and going through tough stuff in life. But his writing is really good. And this last book, I didn't find it sad at all. Actually, I was laughing at some point during the book. I really loved the book. His previous books are a bit sadder than this one. The trilogy is really sad. But for those of you who love reading good books, you need to read him for sure.
Okay, maybe after.
And he also has a thriller. He has a thriller called A Noite em que o Verão Acabou. It's like this thick. It's 600 pages, but it's a page turner. So and it's really good. Just not his usual stuff.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much, Paula, for your question. Do we have maybe one last question? I'm hearing this noise. I don't know where it comes from. Lenia, is it your house? Maybe. No, it's not. I don't know. Anyway, guys, are you okay? Are you feeling okay? Do you wanna go? Have you enjoyed our event? I'll let you go. Okay, don't worry. So yeah, if you don't have any more questions, let's just go to our days. I'm going to actually share some sign-off music with you. Let me see this. Okay. Can you hear it? So yeah, guys, thank you for coming. I hope to see you next month. Thank you so much, Lenia, for joining us. We loved having you here, and your story is very inspiring to us. Okay? Mwah. Have a great day, guys.